But their biggest thing is seek discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 100% adapted this to my life because, in my opinion, like in uncomfortable situations, that's when you grow the most. When you're in a situation where your back's against the wall, you don't know where to go from here. You have the opportunity to either shrivel or you can grow out of that situation and learn like crazy,
Yeah.
right?
Alrighty, dude. Alright, this is episode 3. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Young Minds podcast. I'm your host, Luke Aiden, and dude, it's episode 3 this time. I'm adjusting my levels, but I am so excited because we have a pretty dope guest. He's been a good friend of mine for, I would say like 6-7 months. We've gone to college together, and I'm just going to forewarn, he's not a business major, but he has a lot of business experience with like education and stuff like that. So we'll get into that. We'll kind of roll with it. But yeah, you guys loved the second episode, which was awesome. So thank you for that. Zach loved it. It was, him and I were texting after, and it was like so much fun. Like, I don't know. We're young. We don't really get to have a whole lot of time just to talk about this. So we absolutely loved it. But you know what? Let's just get into this. So, this is my good buddy Tristan Crane. He is a pre-med student and going to be a nurse at Montana State. And he is, I don't know, he's been a good friend of mine for, I said like about 6-7-ish months. So, what's up, Tristan?
How's it going, Luke?
What's
Thanks
up,
for
dude?
having me.
No problem. That intro felt a little rushed, but you know, people can understand it. I gotta calm down. It's hot. It's hot in this room.
That's a commodity in Bozeman, Montana.
Yeah, not really. Yeah, it was like -20. It was -20 like last Thursday.
Yeah, man.
It's been colder. I'm taking this vest off. Okay, hold on. All right, so
In Great Falls, it was -55 my first day of clinical.
really,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. It was dumb. Just dumb.
Oh, that doesn't sound fun at all. Okay, well, who are you? Let's just start there.
Cool. My name's Tristan Crane. Luke and I have been buddies since basically the beginning of this year. I'm a student at Montana State University. I'm in the nursing program. And then I co-founded this media company called The Powder Predicate with Luke. It was like this awesome, I would call it a community of skiers because we kind of found this niche where we loved like new schoolers, but the only people that were getting posted on new schoolers were insane professional skiers that didn't need any more validation, like
Clout,
to continue.
basically.
Exactly, yeah. Like they didn't need anything to get bigger. Versus we like commonly would see kids in our area that were like super, super good and we're throwing down really cool stuff. And we're like, hey, like we should create a page for like those people because those are the people that need the clout for your sponsorships, for your future, and etc. And that's kind of where that idea was born. But yeah, I used to be a competitive rock climber for a really long time.
I thought you still did that competitively.
I do technically. It's kind of weird with COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was a competitive rock climber from age like 6 to I guess 21 now, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, you're 21. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, sir.
I forgot about that.
Yes, sir.
So so we didn't really meet through Powder Predicate though. We just met like at the beginning of the semester through a few like friends.
Accurate. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We're just both super stoked on like skiing, like mountain stuff, and then we both have cars that we put way too much money into, and so we bonded over that.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is like, so we started this business. We started all of this. It's not really a business. Oh, we can talk about that we have a story like even before the business started. I think you know what I'm talking about.
For sure. Yeah,
but
I got you.
We haven't even skied together though. That's the funny thing.
Isn't that wild?
It's like
no,
like we started all of this. We have all these conversations, but like we haven't even skied once.
It'll happen this season for sure. It'll happen
for sure. But you decided to like move to Great Falls in the middle of nowhere.
I know. It's okay. It was for education. It's for education.
That is true. So actually, it brings us into another point.
sure.
what are you doing in college? Because you're a junior, correct?
I am. So
Okay.
I'm now in the upper division nursing program through Montana State University Bozeman. But basically, how it works is you do your prereqs and then you apply to get into the upper division program, or then you're in clinicals. So you're in the hospital a lot. But in Bozeman, there's only a certain amount of spots that they can house kids in that hospital versus the like 400 or 500 kids that are pre-nursing students.
Mm-hmm.
So the way the MSU's program works is you apply through that, and then there's different campuses around the state of Montana you can go to. And so I'm at the Great Falls campus for the next 2 years to finish out my BSN of nursing.
Gotcha. So,
Yeah,
okay, so like I've been watching a lot more Grays, partly because of you,
let's
but
go.
it's you're not. So you're an intern. You're not an intern.
No, so essentially, okay, so if I'm gonna relate it to like a Gray's term,
Okay, let's
so
do that.
um, so like it's almost like you're like in the first year, so like you have learned a bunch of stuff, but you haven't ever been able to apply it,
Gotcha.
and then they kind of like throw them into the deep end, but in the best way, right? It's
Yeah.
not in a negative way. So nursing school is very similar to that. You basically take in your pre-nursing courses, you take a bunch of really hard science classes like anatomy and physiology, OChem, biochem,
Gotcha.
etc. And then now basically we have clinicals. So we go in and each week we learn a set of skills. So whether that be vitals or patient moving or pushing meds or etc. And then each week we basically add a tool to our toolkit.
Okay.
And then when we're done with the program, you should have all of the tools of a complete nurse before
Okay.
we take the board exam. Yeah.
So you're wanting to go more the nursing route of like
Yeah.
the medical stature kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Um, why is that? Why do nursing instead of like you could like being a doctor?
For sure.
Just curious.
So when I first applied to college, I knew I wanted to do something in healthcare, right?
Yeah.
For the like simple reasons that you'll have a job forever. You can work more or less wherever you want, and you will always be able to support like the people around you.
Yeah.
I really like that. I'm also just like a pretty caring individual, so I like that aspect of it.
You are. I
Yeah.
had no idea who you were, and then like in like 3 minutes, you and I clicked immediately, and it was
For
awesome.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, the thing with pre-med route is you're signing up for 6 more years minimum of school after.
Wait,
And
after the 4 years?
after the 4 years, yeah,
So-
yeah. Like
you're not in
talking,
that route.
I'm not in that route.
Okay,
Nope. So,
okay.
but the idea that it was like, okay, I'd love to work in a hospital, but I don't want to commit to that much school yet. Like,
Yeah.
I can't make that visualization because if I do it, it has to go that way. Like, you can't just be like, oh, just kidding, I'm just a bio major now. Like, you don't have as many, you don't have as exactly, you don't have as many like options.
Yeah. So
But
like
nursing, the cool thing is that there's so many facets. That's why I
Yeah.
liked it.
that makes sense. So like, could you, if you wanted to say like go down like the bigger like big
Yeah.
head doctors, like you could do that down the road though, couldn't you?
Kind of. So it's called. So there's like 3 different degrees I could get that are advanced nursing degrees that would make me. So one of them is like a DNP, which is a doctorate nurse practitioner.
Okay.
And so then essentially you would be like a primary health physician in a way.
Okay.
And you work aside doctors. So then technically I would be Dr. Crane. But I wouldn't do
Look at you
like,
sounding all professional, huh?
but I wouldn't do like the classical things you see in like Grey's Anatomy and stuff like that. Like it would be much
Yeah.
more like family care and stuff like that. But when you do that, you specialize. So I would probably specialize like ER is the idea, so that I could do cool stuff like that.
So
But
would you want to
then
be like in the field ER or like or in the hospital
Oh, yeah.
ER basically,
I mean
or
the
ambulance or
the goal right now is to do like flight nursing, which would be super super cool. So
Yeah.
like you're on life helicopter kind of vibes, and
dude, yeah.
you could do it for like a ski resort, and
I was
then
gonna say yeah, you could do
save
that.
saving people in the mountains.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the biggest thing is that I find nursing as a whole super interesting with all the different facets you can go into.
Mm-hmm.
And so I loved it because I didn't have to commit. Like you don't have to commit
Yeah.
more or less until you apply for jobs.
Yeah. That's very
And so
true.
that was my biggest pull towards it instead of going the like pre-med track.
Dang. Okay, so you really like thought this out like before going in. You just like you
Oh,
really you knew where you wanted to go, but you kind of knew the limitations and regulations of where you wanted to go and what you wanted to do. Okay.
Like as you know, I plan everything. Like
Yeah.
I am for sure a planner, and so in my mind, that was why I wanted to go like pre med,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, this will be great. But then I kind of realized like I don't know if I want to commit to that yet,
Yeah.
and then kind of presented itself to me, and I was like, yeah, this is perfect, like perfect fit. I can be more personable with patients, etc. So I really like it. Yeah.
Huh. So no, that's cool because I feel like, I mean, there's definitely like an age gap and an age experience between you and me. Cause
Hmm.
like I didn't just turn. Wow, I turned 20 in June.
Yep.
Oh my lord.
Isn't that wild?
I know. I'm old. I'm old. I don't like that at all. Anyway, sidebar. But so I'm a freshman and you're a junior, and I can just sitting in like freshman classes and experience the whole thing. Like, there's a lot of people who are undeclared and they really don't know what the hell they're gonna do in life. And then there's people
Yeah.
that go, also in my freshman classes, and they're like, they know where they're going, they know their track. They're like,
Yeah.
I've met a few people in my business class, and they're like, they want to finish 4 years. They're going to poli sci, and then one wants to go into the military right after. Like, they know everything they want to do, and like I have that like plan, but like I don't have like it's flexible. Like I can move it around if I
Sure.
want to. So that's kind of how
Sure.
like I don't know. That's what you sound like you are doing, and kind of like you planned it for
Yeah.
it to be.
So I'll even pose a question to
Okay.
you because we were going to talk about
All
this.
right. All right.
So define in your own words like a successful college experience because here's my background with this question,
Okay.
right? Is that I find that a lot of people will go into college being like, "Oh, my parents really want me to go
Yeah.
here. I have no idea what I want to do." So that being said, I'm not trying to chirp you here, but like I'm going to be a business major
Right.
because it's versatile and I can do a lot with it. But then they go, they're not psyched about
Yeah.
college. They're in classes they don't really care about, and then at that point, it's like time is money, money is time, and you're spending a lot of money as well as a lot of time in a
Doing
place where you're not at a designated goal.
right.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, no, I totally get that. So I wanted to go to college. I wanted to go to college. I wasn't always psyched to the idea because I'm not the best at school. I work my
Sure.
ass off in school to get
Yeah.
where I'm at. I don't test well, but everything else I do good. And my parents, they wanted me to like get an education, whether that was school or community college or whatever, and this just seemed like a really good fit. So,
Sure. Of
but I think what like personally I want to take away with it is like, yeah, a degree. I mean, that's what we're all working towards. But
course.
is actually someone I look up to. His name's Steve, and he said, which I can totally relate to is the ability to learn and the ability to adapt, because like everything, like when you get out of college, everything is going to change. Everything is going
Of
to
course.
just be different, and even in like the fields you're going in, I'm going majoring in marketing and minoring in small business management and entrepreneurship. Anything's going to
Yeah.
change on how I go into that. So like probably the ability to learn and the ability to adapt myself to different things. Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I just think it's super important to be a lifetime learner.
Yeah,
Like, no matter what you were doing, you are constantly trying to improve yourself or your knowledge about certain topics,
for
right?
sure.
So that's where like I knew that right about you because you're always trying to figure out how things tick, how things work,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's like always been your thing. I was like, okay, this kid's cool. Like I'm gonna like talk to him, definitely gonna big brother him a little bit and like make sure he's doing
Which
okay,
you
right?
have, and you give me like updates and calls and everything once in a while. You
For
definitely have.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, but see, that's you. But there's for sure the polar opposite,
Mm-hmm.
where it's the kid of like, I'm in business classes because there's so many careers I can get out of it.
Yeah.
But like, he has zero clue, like at all, or he or she, I should say. It's not.
Yeah, but he's like, my dad's in like finance. Maybe I could do that, or like
Yep.
he just kind of sees. I get what you mean, and not giving hate to any people like that. I'm just saying like, there's a lot of people out there in college right now that are doing that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my controversial belief in this topic is that when you go to college, you should be getting a degree that will directly correlate to what you want to do when you grow up,
Yeah.
right? So, for example, like I'm a nursing student because I'm wanting to be a nurse, or engineering students that want to be
Mm-hmm.
engineers. Where there are people like you where they do super well with I'm going to be a business major because I want to learn how to do these 5 things so that I can be more successful in my business that I already like kind of understand what I want to do with
Right.
it, right? But then I struggle with the people who are, let's say, like women's studies majors,
Okay.
right? And they are women's studies majors because they don't fully know what they want to do, but there's no like direct correlative route,
Yeah.
right? Um, and so at that point, it's like
That's a good
there are
example.
some
Yeah.
people in major though that are like, oh, I would really like to do this and this will
Mm-hmm.
help me. But it seems like there are definitely people out there that are just like, I picked this major because it was kind of interesting and I just kind of stuck with it, but just kind of coast. And then they've spent $100,000 on an education that does
That
nothing
they
for
don't know
them.
how to use or what they want to go do. Yeah, no,
Exactly.
I
Yep.
totally get. Jeez, yeah, I, you really kind of like hit the nail on the head on that one. You kind of went deep into that, but yeah, no, that makes. Oh, jeez, that does make sense. Because like, women's studies major, that's a great example. Because like,
Yeah.
personally, I don't know a whole lot about the major at all, but like, I don't know exactly the routes people would take in that. To be honest.
Yeah. No, yeah, which is kind of the like issue that I have behind, or not really issue, but just like the effect that
The
I
concept
wouldn't
that you
do it
can't like
personally.
grasp technically. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Jeez.
Like we've talked about this like about DECA,
Yeah.
right? So I was like super into DECA in
Mm-hmm.
high school, like incredibly into it and loved it. And my professors were always, or my they're not professors, they're teachers in
Yeah.
high school,
That
but
that
they were always
concept
like,
was hard
oh
for me. I don't know why, because like
yeah,
they're the people here at college are teaching me as well, but like they're professors. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, they do know more, but like still that was hard for me to grasp. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
No, you're good. But basically, like all of my or teachers at the time were saying like, oh, you're definitely gonna go business
Yeah.
major, and I was no, that's just not my thing. I don't see a correct, like a direct path to the like life goals that I would like to
Yeah.
achieve with it. Was
And going into that kind of DECA is like you were you were good at DECA. You knew what you were doing. You were like head like top
yeah,
tier kind of guy there, weren't you? So like
yeah.
what did
So
you do?
so DECA,
Yeah.
yeah. So DECA, for those who don't know, it's the Distributive Education Clubs of America.
I don't
So
know how you
essentially,
do it.
it's a business. It's a business competition. Like it's you. There are some 100 categories, and you get posed with business issues or finance issues or situations, and you have to act as if you are the people who are going to fix
Yeah.
that for them. That's the biggest explanation I could give. But yeah, DECA was like my life in high school for
Did you do it
sure. Like
all
as a
4 years?
so I did just three. So sophomore, junior, senior, which was all that was offered at my school.
Gotcha.
But like my sophomore year, I was like our retail head. My junior year and my senior year, I was president of DECA at my
Okay.
school, which was super cool. But yeah, so in those years, I was a double national qualifier, which was like the second time that ever happened in
And
my
that's like
school. So
really
I got to go to
good.
yeah, so I got to go through a bunch of steps, but it's super rare that that happens. But it was like I think one of three people that's ever happened in my school. And then I was a national finalist, so I was the first national finalist at my
Yeah.
school, which was super cool. But those were in like retail merchandising and like a financial operations project, and that's the one that I took further was the financial operations
And
project.
so like you kind of explained this earlier, but like I've mentioned this before on the podcast as well, but like DECA is basically to sum it up is you said it well, but like it's a competition where you compete in front of judges, you dress very nice, and
Yep.
it's you go into a room for like 30 minutes, you plan your
Yep.
business or your thought on how to market it or finance the company,
Yeah.
and it's then you go to the judges and you pitch that to them. It's like a pitch competition on steroids. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. And then like categories, you'll have different ones. So like for example, in my retail merchandising one, we had ones you go into a room, you're held, and then you get a prompt. And I think my prompt was something along the lines of, "Oh, you had like Billy Bob, and Billy Bob owns a Buffalo Wild
Yeah.
Wings, and he bought the prelim UFC fight where you have to buy it per TV. So he spent like $8,000 on this
Mhm.
like fight or whatever, and then all of a sudden power went out in your area,
Oh.
and so now he had issues with like food he brought in. He had issues with his like TVs. He had issues with this. So he wants refunded for not only his services that he lost, but he also had 100 family friends that all brought food that couldn't be refrigerated and et cetera. So he wants reimbursements for that. And then you go down and you sit and you basically pitch, this is how I'm going to handle this situation to meet these objectives of like keeping my customer happy, like getting good reviews, etc. But there's like, I think my favorite part about DECA in general were the workshops, actually, which most people hated the workshops, and so it was like
Yeah, the
unique in a
workshops
way.
were. I didn't experience this because I did DECA junior year and senior year. My senior year was
Cool.
completely like we kind of goofed around senior year, like for sure.
Yeah.
But like junior year, like there was the
Sure.
workshops. I mean I enjoyed them a little bit. It was but I didn't like the whole writing factor. And you had to test
Yeah.
in, didn't you?
Yeah. So essentially, like a workshop in general was each school typically had a presentation about something
Okay.
that they did. And the reason that people disliked them was because these presentations would be like, oh, this is how you're going to market these three things on a financial level. And it's like none of these kids will even talk about this in college,
Yeah.
let alone as high schoolers. And so you would go in and you would sit and it'd be a bore fest. But the best way I can like talk about a deck of competition is it's like a Shark Tank pitch. And so that's what I made. That's what I made my workshop, because I was like, I have to run a workshop and I want it to be super fun.
I'm
And
gonna
so
pause you right
I'd
there,
be in.
Crane. I think my camera just died. I'm gonna check that. Sorry about
Oh,
that.
no, you're good. You're all good.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened there, but my camera just glitched out.
All good.
But I think I lost like 30 seconds. So kind of just rewind real quick.
Yeah,
But you're
we're
just
good. I'll just talk about like workshops.
yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Oh, big stretch. Oh, my back just
Okay.
flopped.
Yeah. Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Buh, buh, buh,
So,
buh.
okay. So workshops in DECA, most people really disliked workshops.
Okay.
But the workshops were personally my favorite thing of DECA events, which was mainly because I could run them. I will say that, but they were super fun.
Yeah, because you mentioned to me like you were like you didn't like teach elementary or middle school, did you?
I didn't
Okay,
know.
and you just did high school, like you just so you were like leading it and everything.
Mm,
What were you doing? What were you teaching? Because like it's not the funnest job teaching high school students who are just bored out of their
yeah.
mind, just sitting there
No.
drooling, basically. Yeah,
Yeah. So like our DECA competitions, because we're both from Colorado, would be in really cool places like Beaver Creek.
and then
And like,
Springs was like our big one where where was it? Broadmoor.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And so it's like, why am I coming to listen to these other high schoolers talk? Like,
yeah,
I would rather go hang out with my buddies, which makes sense. But I think the biggest issue behind it was um, people would have their workshops on super complex like ideas in very specific markets. So they'd be like, financially, if you have these five issues, here's how you're going to recover from it, and they would talk about it for an hour.
yeah.
And it's one, these kids aren't going to learn that until they're in college, maybe, and then maybe more in the real world, right? But it's like in high school, these kids have never heard these terms. Like, you're just very well versed in it, and
Because you have like
so
experience in it.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. So my kind of takeaway was, I was like, the biggest or the best way I could describe a DECA competition to my friends was that it was like a Shark Tank proposal, because I love Shark Tank. Shark Tank's a great show, right?
It's an amazing show. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and so I did it all up. Like, I had three other people on my board, and I made them dress like the sharks, and we all sat down, and I
Uh
would like
huh.
recruit people from the hallway, and I would straight up say like, "Hey, this is going to be the only one where people are going to let you talk the whole time, and you can get candy if you win." And people would like haul it, because normally it's just people that are talking to them the whole time, right?
Yeah.
And this was my only thing, is I would say, okay, like, we are the Sharks. After this, like, I am Mark Cuban. You are not talking to me as like Tristan Crane anymore, right? And so I would say, you're going to create a sales pitch in the next 5 minutes that you and your three partners are going to do.
Oh, so
And
they
so
had it made there. Like they
yeah,
were
so
making it.
I would give them five
Oh,
minutes, like
gotcha.
5 minutes. That's it. And I would make them like scramble in the room so people couldn't just be with their friends. So you would get more of an outside perspective. But then more the goal was that these people would get in the mindset of, okay, here's my product. Here's why it's better than yours. Here's how I'm going to present it. And then when they
Yeah.
went to the actual work, like to the actual presentations, they went really well, because people were now in that mindset. And then of course, like you have to have fun with them. So like I would just like chirp people and like make bad jokes and people would laugh and have a good time constantly throughout. And so then that workshop won like best workshop in Colorado. And
Oh,
I
so you were like,
genuinely,
so you were judged on the workshops.
yeah. So like we would have people come
Yeah.
in, but it was mainly just to make sure people were doing okay. But then
Yeah.
mine went really, really well. And I 100% just believe it's because people had a good time.
Yeah.
And that's genuinely is because people were like, I actually had a good time. And I feel like I learned more in that like 15 minutes of me talking in front of a bunch of people. So I'm no longer anxious. Like, and I think it just went way better.
Yeah. Way better.
Way better.
Way more better. Yeah. See, like I didn't really know that all about you whole. I mean, I know you did DECA, and I know you're you're a smart kid. Like you're genuinely pretty smart when it comes to like
I
school.
definitely try really hard. Like I don't think
Yeah.
my intellect is all that high. I just work really, really hard just because, you know, like knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And so I always just try to make myself that like 2% better every day.
Yeah.
And like, well, like transitioning like into just like a life mantra, right? So my biggest thing is from this YouTube channel called Yes Theory, and
Yeah. We've talked
love
about
Yes
yeah.
Theory. Yeah, love like I am the biggest fangirl for Yes Theory, 100%. But
You met Amar, right?
yeah, so I got to like talk to him on like early days because I was just super early, and it was just like a little group FaceTime where he just like talked. Like I didn't really talk. I was definitely just like
So it was like the new version of like the Clubhouse app that everyone's talking about now.
essentially,
Essentially,
yeah.
okay, gotcha,
Essentially, and so
gotcha.
it was just like a group. Like I think it was Skype at the time. Like, it was not a
Okay.
while. But their biggest thing is seek discomfort.
Mhm.
And I have 100% adapted this to my life because, in my opinion, like in uncomfortable situations, that's when you grow the most. When you're in a situation where your back's against the wall, you don't know where to go from here. You have the opportunity to either shrivel or you can grow out of that situation and learn like crazy,
Yeah.
right? And so I try to adapt this in like all ways, like whether that was like taking classes and me being like, I really don't want to take like organic biochem, but I was like, I know that class is going to suck so bad that
Yeah.
I am to learn how to be effective in other things. But
Hmm.
whether that be in like sports pursuits where I was like, I'm going to like be so uncomfortable where I don't want to be here anymore. Like when I was training for climbing and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to do this until I literally am just like burnt out and I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
But then I was so uncomfortable that it like pushed me just like levels and levels above where I could have ever been.
So you've really taken like their motto, seek discomfort, just like to a whole new level. Not a whole new level, but like applied it completely to your life.
For sure. And
Yeah.
I like when I get into, for example, like I am a pretty decent skier, but I'll ski with my buddies and they'll be
We'll
like,
see.
we're gonna do this. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
But they're like, we're gonna do these 3 lines.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that looks awful. It's just
Yeah.
like terrifying, doesn't look fun.
Like moguls.
But every time I do it, I like either just find incredible enjoyment. I'm like, oh, I just did that,
Yeah.
or I learn like so much so quick because I'm like, oh, like I am in an awful position now, and 100% my
Because
fault.
like you're basically learning on your feet. I mean, you are learning on
Exactly, yeah.
Hmm.
But it's like the same thing where like I will be in situations and they'll be like, go, and I'm like, I can just like bail right now. I'm like, no, like if you seek an uncomfortable situation right now, you will grow. Like you may not like it, it may suck,
Yeah.
but like you're gonna get better somehow,
Yeah.
right?
Wow. I just hit the desk. Ow, that kind of hurt. But sorry. But yeah, I've never heard you really go like in depth or like very spiritual, motivational like that.
Yeah,
I've never
yeah,
because I know you're a huge fan of like Yes Theory and Amar and
yeah,
all of them. So, yeah. Wow. Um. Wow.
yeah. It's definitely just at the beginning, I definitely thought it was a little quirky, but I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna play with it, and I just realized that it applied in so many different places in my life.
Hmm.
And then I remember I sat down with my dad, and I was like, I am going to do this every day this week, and if you see me like backing out, you're gonna tell me. And he was like, okay,
Yeah.
sure. And he called me out, I swear, like 20 times,
Like.
and I was like,
Wow.
oh no. Like I was like, I didn't realize that I was like doing that. He's like, no, like if you're like fully in, you're fully in. And
Yeah.
then in that 1 week, like happiness went up, sleep levels went better, like
Hmm.
my lifts at the gym were better.
Yeah.
My school was better. And I was like, this is wild. Like every major category of my life that I have applied this to has gone better, even though this week, like mentally, I was drained.
Yeah.
I was like, but everything has gone so much better.
Everything is
And
like
I was like,
improved and gone up in your life. Yeah, I've been noticing that like so much more lately. Like I went back home and I met like all my old buddies and everything, and like it was I grew like really tight with like a few of them in like senior year, and like my close buddies I've grown up with all of high school, and
sure.
and like we like we'd party, we'd have fun and everything, but like now that we're in college, now that like our lives are like actually like going and like doing something, like we're going like
Dude, we're
like
adults.
we're adults, yeah, like it's
Yeah.
kind of hitting like all of us, like yeah, like we're no longer in like that party scene. We're more like I told you earlier, like I'm focusing more on my body. I've been going to the gym a lot more, which is awesome. I'm loving it. I don't know, it's just like it's weird because like I never thought I would want to grow up, but like I'm excited to like learn, but like I don't want to grow up too fast because I do love where I'm at right now. So
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just a balance in life too. I think.
Yeah. I think like retrospective is super important with that too.
Yeah.
Like realizing, like, oh, my freshman year, I was here.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, oh, like I am for sure a smarter individual. Like I always struggle with that in college because I feel like I'm doing like some prereqs that are required by my university to graduate
Yeah.
that just like don't have any effect on me or etc. Like that was kind of frustrating to me. But then I would realize when I just be in social settings, I'd be like, oh, like I am for sure learning things. Like I am for sure getting more intellectual. I am for sure improving myself.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is super cool. But then if you look back at like 5 years ago, you're like, oh, like that person and this person like may not even get along.
Yeah.
Like we are different people, but I'm so happy that like those changes
Yeah.
happened.
Dude, it's like I was shocked just to like see like people who I saw like party all the time, and now like they are hard driven, focused, hard headed. They're focusing on like what they want, and like I've been seeing like
Oh yeah,
changes to me. Like I said, like I'm not always the biggest fan of school, but like I will do it. I will put my head down and go, like no matter what. And I'll do it. Like there's some classes that I absolutely love. Like there's like business, writing, and a few other classes, and then like other ones like math. Sorry. I just
I
I just can't. My brain can't just conceptually just get like all the numbers, equations, and the
yeah,
quadratic formula, like everything. Like, I know it, but like it just doesn't work well with my head. So like, but what like my parents have told me and people and mentors have like always just told me is like it is literally just it's just one step further to your goal in life you want to reach. Like you know what?
yep,
Like you when you graduate, awesome. You'll have your degree, perfect. You can go anywhere with it. You can go live in a van. You can go start a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar business. It's honestly your choice of what you want to do. It's just how you use it. It's just like how you use your life and like what you do basically. You just got to be smart.
oh yeah, yeah. And like I remember like not trying to out you here,
Oh,
but
here
I
we go.
think it was like week 3 of college, right? And you were like, yeah, we played a lot of spike ball. Spike ball was like really
Yeah.
fun when it was right. And so you came to spike ball and you were like, and I was like, what's up? And you're like, I bombed a test. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I remember I was like, it's going to be good for you. And you were like, you were angry. You were like, how is it going to be good for me? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, just trust me. Like, it's better that
I
you
was
did that, right?
pissed
And
because
then
I
like
remember it
two
was
weeks
my
later,
like first math test of the semester, first call, like
yeah,
your
yeah,
first test of college and everything. I remember that because
you
I
were,
was livid.
yeah, you were not pleased. But
Yeah,
then you came back and the next exam you did better on. I don't remember if you did really well, but you did
hmm
better on it. And I remember you sat there and then I was like, hey, you want to go to Taco Bell? Which is like always, like I can always get you to go to
yeah,
Taco Bell. And you're like, no, I have a test and I have to study for it. Like,
yeah.
good,
Good.
Luke.
Do that, and that's
Good. Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, he's like learning. He's learning. And that was in a 3 week time
yeah,
scale, right? And so it's just like imagine if like those big transformal things happen in 3 weeks, what can happen in
yeah.
3 years, in like 30
You're just
years,
scaling it
right?
up and kind of just making like a bigger thing in your life, basically. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
So
Yep.
we've talked a lot about business and bunch about life
Autos. Yeah.
mottos. Same thing. I'm tired.
Yep.
But so we brought up powder predicate a little bit, but so it's a business you and I started, and it's just, but
Yeah.
there's one.
Yeah, we should definitely talk
Yeah,
more about
probably.
that for sure.
So basically, I've brought it up before, and Zach actually on the previous episode, he's like what
Yep.
our content, or like one of our head content creators. There's like five,
Yep.
6 people
Yep.
on the board. Crane and I
Yep.
are basically like the top 2 people on it, and I don't know, it just kind of worked well. I started the whole thing, and not to be like I started it all, but like
No, you're good. You're good.
I started it, put it on TikTok, and then and Crane was like, "Yo, here's a name." And our original name we had was the Syndicate, because like in skiing and stuff like that today, it's like everyone's like, "Oh, send it, full send," and everyone sees that. So we ran into an issue with the name, the Syndicate,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna just
Yeah. Here, I can go into it. I can go into it if you
yeah,
want.
just don't bring up like names. Don't bring up like
Yeah. No. Sure.
locations and
So there's a. So basically, so this was the cool part, right? So we create this page. Luke has a big TikTok following, so we're growing it through there. I'm definitely doing more business side stuff. I'm like, this is our theme. This is like our press release. This is what we're going to do. Luke is figuring out more big picture stuff. And then we release the page.
Just the page.
With nothing on it. With nothing. And within 5 days, we had 230 followers.
It was 500, dude. Because we had like 400 to 500 people in the group meet. Like we started like a huge.
No, but we didn't have those followers yet. We had the group me that had like so many people. But then the minute that we posted our first video, which was after all of these issues, we grew from I think 230 to like 532 in like 3.5 hours.
I thought we started with 500. No, we started with like 200 to 300. That's right.
Yeah, and we posted that first video, and I remember I was in class and my phone was like da 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 da, and I was like, what is going on? And so I check it, and I was like and my phone's like glitching. I was like, that's really weird. So I click on it, and it was like update our follower stream, and I'm pretty sure it was like 233, and then all of a sudden it was like 528.
Yeah. And then like Crane and I referred to him as Crane because I don't know why. Because and then my personal account was starting to blow up a little bit. Yours was starting to go up, and everyone on the boards was starting to go up. And then like the group me, everyone was like this is kind of crazy. We didn't know we had this much power. I had no idea we had this much power.
Yeah, and this is when I had to like play like Papa Bear and be like, Luke.
Yeah,
because Luke was freaking out. He was like,
I wasn't freaking out. Okay, well, I was freaking out, but we kind of missed a big portion before we posted.
That's true. Okay, so before we posted, so our original name was the Syndicate, and basically there's this small ski shop that does tuning in Colorado. Yep, and he reached out and he was like, "Hey, we need to talk about your name." And I was like, "Oh no, like that's the same name." And then basically we like start talking to this guy. Originally, he's like, "You need to change your name. I will help you change your name."
He's a cool dude. He was very helpful. He just wanted to protect his name, his business, and we wanted to obviously
because he was in the same sports group, and so we were like, "Okay, like that's fine." We have like a Zoom meeting with him where he's just giving us very like fundamental like business stuff. Where I don't think that he realized that we knew what we were doing, and we were like, and then like I remember halfway through that conversation, he's like, "So like, what is your follower count right now?" Like. I was like, oh, we're sitting at like 555. And he's like, how long have you been out? It was like a week. And he didn't know what to say. And he's like, oh, like, how did you do that?
Well,
I was like,
he DM'd us before we posted, though. So we had like 300 followers at the time. And then, so he DM'd us, and it was Syndicate. Like, everyone was already sharing the account without anything on it.
Yeah.
And then we got his DM that said the same name. And I was like, we're like, oh, crap, here we go. And we were planning to post that night. And with our Syndicate logo, Syndicate name, everything. And the video was done. And shout out to Will, Rio, and Zach. And
the boys saved us.
And then we have like, we call him like our like, not our shark, Garrett. He's basically just like, we're going to war. He's like our Wolf of Wall Street kind of guy. He cracks me up.
I was playing group dad.
Basically.
Like Wolf's like, he's like, we're going to do these 5 things. We're not.
He's like, we're suing. We're bringing in lawyers. I go, dude, I don't even know what we are. But Garrett cracks me up. Garrett, if you listen, you're good dude. But no, what cracks me up is it was like 11 o'clock, and I was like, we were going to post tomorrow morning, and I was sending all this out into our board text, and Crane goes in a separate text to me and goes, you need to chill the hell out, because I was freaking out. and because like we have all these people in the group me who wanted.
Because your solution to this was like, we're just gonna post it and just ball.
And
I was
just
like,
like
no, no,
I was
no, no,
thinking like,
no.
you know what, let's just do it,
We're
let's
gonna
go.
do.
But so it was the night of, and the guy calls us. He goes, hey, if you can think of a new name, cool, switch it. If not, I think maybe I can lend the name out to you. And we were thinking like,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
So at the
Yeah,
time,
at the
we're
time
like,
we're like,
and then
it doesn't sound too bad. And we started thinking, we're like, and he wanted like, because we down the road we want to sell T-shirts and just merchandise, whatever. And the guy was like, I want like 5-10% of sales and everything, and just I want you guys to help. I want your following to help grow my following on Instagram. Like that's not a huge deal. We can like, you can be our sponsor basically.
which like makes sense, but we consider it
Yeah.
like a sponsorship, and then I think he considered it more of like these kids are gonna help me grow because they're growing rapidly, which makes sense. Like from his perspective, that makes sense. But then that's kind of when we talked, and then I was like, okay, like I'm thinking like the powder predicate, and I remember I said it into like the group chat because we were all spamming names, and I remember 4 people like, wait a second, like that might
work.
that might be it, and so I felt, and I was like, okay, cool, and so then within I think like 2 hours we had a new logo, we updated all of our people, switched it, put out like a press release like discussing what happened, and then our first post went up, and then that's when we like
And all that
skyrocketed,
happened in
and
less
I
than
was just
12
like,
hours. That all it was
it was
hectic. I mean, it was like a Friday, Thursday night, and whatever, and it was just, it was crazy. So that's kind of the story of how Crane and I kind of work business. Yes, Crane is not really. You're not. Oh, I keep hitting this table. Goodness, ow. So yeah, Crane's not really like a business major or has a business right now. But reason why I wanted to bring him on because like he's like Papa Bear to me. But he's also like, you know what you're doing. You have your shit together. You know you're
yeah.
you know what you're doing in life.
And then I am like
you
co-founder
are co-founder of Powder
Predicate.
Predicate.
That was my take.
That is your ticket, and you know about business, and I know your background in DECA and everything. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
yep.
Wow, it's 43 minutes already. Okay.
Really,
Wow,
I didn't know that.
40-ish around there. Well, Crane, I want to ask you. I asked Zach this, and I think I'm gonna start asking all of the interviewees this question. Is any advice you can give to listeners thinking of starting a business, or like skills that they think would help them create a business, a hobby, a side hustle, or whatever?
For sure. Okay, so this is kind of broad spectrum, but I'll put it to like a couple points. So first, support systems are huge. You, like always rely on the people around you that you trust the most, whether that be your family, whether that be your best friends, like whatever it be. Know that everyone in the room knows at least 5 things that you don't at all points in time. So you should never approach a situation like, oh, this is my business and I know everything about it. Because I would bet that any person in that room can give you 5 pieces of advice as to how to just make your life even easier, not even just how to make your stuff better. But mainly my thing is just like strive for 1% better every single day. Like no matter what happens throughout your day, just think I'm going to do this one thing and it's going to make me that 1% better. And then guess what? After 100 days, you're 100% better than you were, etc. But you just always want to have a growth mindset and always be trying to becoming better at your craft, whatever that be. Always striving to be the best version of yourself. Just
wow, look at you being a motivational speaker, dude. That was well done. You could honestly be on TikTok. Like I could see you being like a TED presenter. Yeah.
You think so? Yeah, I would love to speak at a TEDx conference. That'd be super cool.
So much. I'd be so nervous.
I'd be psyched. I'd be psyched. That'll be a goal, is to be able to like talk at like a medical TEDx one day and just be like,
yeah, you know, I know my medicine.
Exactly.
All right, dude. It's just a little shorter podcast because I wanted to keep it short for the listeners because I don't have a lot of co-hosts and a lot of help. But where can people find you?
You're good, man.
Anywhere.
Yeah, so on Instagram at Tristan Crane, TRISTIN CRA. That's the easiest one. But
dope, dude.
Yeah,
you know what? Thank you, and I'll text you probably later today or later tonight. But thank you again, and we'll chat soon. All right, sounds good.
Cheers,
Peace
brother.
out.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Oh, I love that, man, so much. Um, he really is like a grown up to me. He knows. He just has experience. I mean, yeah, it's like 2-3 years difference, but like he knows like the stress in college and like being a freshman and stuff like that. So like I don't know. That's why I kind of looked up to him. And I was lucky to like just meet him first weekend out of college. Um, so Crane, thank you. It was a great interview. 1 second. So yeah, Crane, thank you again. That was awesome interview. So yeah, he's not really a business person, but like you can tell he has his mind together. He has everything just like planned out what he wants to do and just stuff just like ready to go. So like again, if you want to be pre-med major, hopefully that was or pre-med nursing or whatever, hopefully that was helpful to you, but also just kind of if you want to improve your life and just kind of like one up everything and just I don't know, just continue to progress and get better. He's an awesome person for that too, and I didn't really know he had that motivational speaker momentum in him, and I was shocked too just listening to him. Like, I've never heard him really say things like that to me personally, and now he said it's all you guys. So that was awesome. And oh, I was gonna bring this up. Last week I didn't post. You guys probably noticed or probably saw that. Um, I didn't. I was actually home and just didn't have a whole lot of time, and I'm doing this whole podcast by myself. So sorry for that, but still just trying to post every week, every Friday, every weekend. So that's my goal. But yeah, guys, you are awesome. Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe. That'd mean the world to me. And share this if any of these words kind of moved you and helped you and just I don't know pushed you to be better in life. So I will chat with you guys next week. Peace out.